Bro, actually jerks off to himself
If
in the
anything,
mirror.
Jealousy is just love and hate at the same time.
yes, it just hasn't worked yet. But this one will. Don't do it.
I'm too good. Yo, I'm having so much fun, actually. Like, honestly, this game's kind of easy. How did we lose this game? I'm 52 and 8. I'm carrying all of you. Bro. I have 38 finals, bro. I have 38 finals. Bro, how did I lose this game? Like, actually.
Lucky Zeal isn't sure how he lost that game, but I know how he lost that game. And if you want to add up all the final hits on his team had 97 final hits, and my team had 66 final hits. And yet my team was the team that came out on top. This is why whenever people talk to me, either in the comments or in game, and start bragging about their finals or talking about how final hits mean everything, I know that those people don't understand how the game works. It is an objective-based video game first and foremost, and some final hits have more value than others. So in this game, I'm going to break down my strategy and thought process along the way, and how I went switching my heroes, why I did, and what I figured I needed to do in order to win. That all being said, let's jump into it. I start the game on DPS, and I have my friend here, Alai, on Inviswoman, and another streamer here, Infernasu, on Blade. Immediately as each game starts, I try to figure out what the enemy's team comp is, so I can predict what the enemy is going to do and come up with a game plan as to how to beat them. Right out the gate, Groot gets immediately pulled off the map, which means I'm going to need to do something about this Spidey. But also at the same time, I notice that there's a Daredevil, and Daredevils really like to jump on my backline, which means I'm going to have to do something about him as well. And as I jump down, I see a Cap as well, which means I'm going to have my hands full peeling a lot this game. And Psylocke at this moment in time isn't the best peeler, so even though she's my comfort hero, I recognize I might need to switch things up later. Once I see my teammate get pulled off the map a second time, I know that we can't walk up without him, so all I can do right now is sort of play safe, poke at all the divers, try and build my ult up, and wait for him to come back. I see that the enemy team has a Groot and we also have a Wolverine, but I also know that Wolverine can't grab the Groot until that iron wall is down, so that means that I need to try and get to a location and try and break that iron wall, so hopefully he can get a grab on the Groot. On offense, all you realistically need is one singular pick to flip the fight into your favor, and you might only need one fight in order to secure the point. So I need to figure out what I need to do to help my team in order to help them secure that one pick, and making sure that iron wall is always down would make my Wolves job a lot easier, but also at the same time, I still have to be mindful of this Cap and this Spidey that is harassing my team and harassing my backline. After breaking the ironwood wall and seeing that my team isn't staying alive, there's not much I can do back here other than run away, hide, and prepare for my team to come back out of spawn and try and re-engage in after they come back. Knowing that they have a rocket, I take a second to look around to see if I can't find his res beacon. Unfortunately, it's not in any of the usual spots though, and I don't want to waste too much time, so I just give up on it and I go right back into shooting the iron wall. Unfortunately, the enemy team is applying so much pressure that my team doesn't know how to handle that they can't even really walk out the spawn, and even though I'm destroying the ironwood wall, it's not really doing anything to help my team at this time. And every time I try to go in and re-engage, it seems like someone on my team is already dead. There's a really big difference though between getting a kill on offense versus getting a kill on defense. When Spidey, Daredevil, and Cap get a kill right outside our spawn door, that isn't a lot of value for them because of the fact that we'll respawn basically in the same spot. Versus for our end on the offensive team, if we kill someone outside of our spawn door, it takes significantly longer for them to get back to the point to contest it. So even though they're farming kills on my team at this point, I know realistically I'm just waiting for that one opportunity for them to make a mistake and us to get a high value pick that allows us to push forward. And there is an advantage to a team that plays this aggressively and is getting this many kills, is that they tend to get overconfident, which means it'll lead to them making a mistake. And I just need to figure out and wait for that moment. After seeing all the ults go off and as the team fight's breaking out and my team getting a pick, I know where the res beacon is, so I immediately go to break it so that way they don't get the res back. After I deny the res, I prioritize staying alive, getting my health back to full before re-engaging. I dash up top to apply pressure to the Groot. He's the one standing outside of his invisible ultimate, and I'm waiting for the invis ultimate to end so I can use my ult afterwards. And once the invis ult ran out, I immediately dashed on top of them to try and use my ult, and for some reason I didn't take into consideration the Cap ult, which just completely negates my ultimate. I should have found an isolated target either away from Cap, or I should have tried to pull out the Cap ult early and then use my ult afterwards. I try to get out, but unfortunately Daredevil is just too oppressive, and unfortunately I die for it. This isn't so bad though, because both teams use a lot of ultimates, which means that they're not going to have any ultimates really to defend either. So if we can get a kill in the neutral, it means a lot more for us. With them having Groot and feeling like I just don't have enough health or sustain to stay in the fight, I go to Magic instead, as it's another comfort pick. I'm not as good on Magic, but I need something that can sustain through the fights a little bit easier, but also still complements my sort of game sense style of play. Someone that's a bit more divey, a bit more about target prioritization rather than just sheer aim. I also like to use Magic against Groot because the demons work really well on the walls. As I push up and my teammates are dying all around me, I don't want to continue to stagger myself, so even though I'm trying to charge my ult and I'm trying to apply pressure, maybe try and get a pick, I'm also trying to stay alive at the same time. So I'm always being mindful of using my cover. And there you have it right there, the Daredevil's mistake. Even if he were to get a kill right outside of our spawn door, it only means that someone would get back to that exact same spot in 10 seconds. Whereas now, the walk for Daredevil to respawn and get back to the point is going to be more like 30 seconds. So during this time, we have a huge advantage on the enemy team, and we want to try and apply as much pressure as quickly as possible. And despite the fact that there's only 26 seconds on the clock, it doesn't matter. To win that first point, we might only need to win one fight. And now with Daredevil dead, this is our opportunity. I prioritize my survival and I don't put myself in danger, so that allows my supports to continue to pocket my punishers, and because he's ulting, he's in win condition in that moment. Putting myself in danger and possibly getting myself killed or stressing out my supports isn't something I want to do. I already know that my team has the advantage and I just want to hold on to that, so I'm just playing slow and calculated. You don't always have to be doing something all the time. Yes, you want to limit your downtime, but sometimes the best thing for you to do and the safest thing for you to do is to prioritize staying alive, getting your health back to full, and then re-engaging back in when it's safe. I prioritize staying alive and defending the objective, being ready to push people off in case they try to hop on, and I'm keeping an eye on my surroundings. Once again, this is an objective-based video game. All I want to do is capture that point, and 3 people on caps it the fastest.
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks. Just in time. Thanks. From limbo.
Immediately after capping the objective, when we start to push the convoy up, I start to push up to try and take space and see if I can't get another stagger or at least slow them down from progressing to the point. Whenever you have control over the objective, you want to push up and try and take as much space as possible and deny it from the enemy team, and it's best for you on the offensive team to take fights away from the objective, so that way the objective moves up for free. And on the defensive team, what you want to do is you want to try and do your best to take the fight directly to the objective, so that way you can stop the objective from moving. If I push up and I get a kill, that's great, it allows the objective to keep moving, but I also don't actually have to get a kill. I could also just push up and slow their progression and keep them from touching the convoy, which allows it to move up as well. Hearing the Daredevil ult, I immediately turn to jump on him because of the fact that I know he's going to hard commit onto my team. And just like before, where he got himself killed right outside of our spawn, he got himself killed right in the middle of our team, which allowed us to get another pick on the cap as well, and now we're going to push up and play really aggressive and see if we can't take advantage of this. After the Invis Woman ults, I don't think I'm going to be able to kill anything through that, so I try to go for the res beacon, which Rocket of course breaks, so I can't destroy it, and then I'm waiting until the Invisible Woman ult runs out, and the moment that it does, Thing gets a massive ult, which allows us to help secure another pick. I'm trying to maximize my value by us not hitting all of our ults at once and trying to secure those staggers one at a time if I can. I see Groot get res, so I immediately try to go to destroy it, but I can't get there in time. And once I try to take the fight with the Groot and the Rocket, I realize that Daredevil is there as well. I'm not going to be able to win that fight 1v3, so I just back out, I get to safety, and I see the cap is on the point. I want to try and help get him off the points, that way the convoy can keep moving.
Just in time. Thanks. Go have fun.
The moment that the enemy team starts to push up and starts to try and contest the convoy, I ult to try and see if I can't get a pick or apply pressure, which gets them off of the convoy. And unfortunately, at the exact same time, Groot decides to use his ult, which grabs all of us and just completely shuts down my entire plan anyway. It was a good move on his part. I probably should have been more mindful and realized that Groot had his ult, but it's okay. It happens, and at this point in time, it's not so bad, because the way the second point works on any sort of convoy map is you kind of have to win 1 point the moment it comes out the gate, which allows it to push up to the corner here. And once it gets past the corner, you just need to win one more fight. And that one fight will allow it to push up to capture the second point. So just the same as before, I'm just looking for that one opportunity in which someone on the enemy team makes a mistake, which allows us to apply enough pressure and take the point. After I come back out and I see Daredevil, I don't ego duel him. I'm looking for picks that are a lot safer, a lot easier to get, and I still don't have a lot of experience on Daredevil, but I know he's not one I usually like to fight in a 1v1. So I keep myself safe, looking for a better opportunity to engage. The enemy team ults and kills a lot of us, but they kill all of us at generally around the same time, which means we're all going to respawn around the same time as well. And even though there's 20 seconds on the clock, I'm not stressed because once again, all we need to do is win one fight and we can still capture this point.
The final 10 seconds. You stopped them in their tracks.
I get myself into position in case I need to touch, but luckily I see the Thing charge past everyone and get the touch on the convoy. Seeing both supports at the back, I want to target the Rocket first because the Rocket will have res beacon. If I kill him, there's no res beacon. Whereas if I kill anyone else on his team, they're just going to get res. So if I can, I always try to target the Rocket first. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get the Rocket, but it does lead me back towards the Invis where I can start attacking her as she's outside of her ult. The blind spots in this game from the side and the back are pretty huge, so she doesn't actually see that I'm there, which allows me to get a quick and easy pick on her. My team is unfortunately down in this moment though, and Thing gets a great ultimate, but I recognize I'm probably going to need to die on the point here and buy enough time for hopefully my team to portal on.
You're not rid of me yet. Come, my minion.
Luckily, I'm able to get through the portal, and I immediately push up to try and take space and deny the enemy team from progressing towards the convoy. Now that we have control over this objective, I want to keep control over this objective, so I immediately push up, and once I see that the supports are in the same spot, I want to try and apply pressure and push them back. I'm going to rely and have some confidence on my team that they're going to be able to kill whoever's on the payload if I'm distracting their two supports. This, by the way, is the strength of dive and brawl heroes, where even if you're not getting kills, it doesn't matter because you're pulling attention and resources where the two supports can't ignore you. They have to focus on keeping each other alive, which means that you create an opportunity elsewhere on the map for your team. Once I have my ult, I immediately cast it right outside, and I turn and I look back towards my team to see who my team was dealing with. I see the Daredevil there, which means it'll be an easy kill, because at this point, I've pushed the supports away, and Daredevil's isolated near me. I do this thing a lot where if I'm playing dive or brawl heroes, I'll dive the enemy supports, and I'll push them back away, and then I'll turn back in and collapse in on who my team is fighting. Luckily, we get a pick on the Daredevil, and we also get a pick on the Invis. Once both supports are dead, I immediately go back to trying to kill who's on the objective so that way we can get it moving. With no supports alive, we should be able to focus down the last two people here. Cap ults, and I immediately start telling my team to focus the Cap because I do know from playing Cap that even if he ults when he's got low health, he's still killable if all of us focus him at once. The moment I immediately see and hear that Invis is healing him though, I immediately go back to doing the thing I was doing before, which is I'm going to dive the Invis. I'm going to push her away from the Cap so that way my team can focus the Cap and I can distract the Invis. I don't have to be so mechanically good that I get a kill on the Invis. I could just push her away and it almost creates the same value. As I stand in the doorway and I keep it safe, as Groot walks up, he doesn't feel safe pushing up and he doesn't think that he can reach the convoy, so he starts to back off and allow us to cap the point. This is where the strategy of not just going for kills comes into play. You're trying to control the space. You're trying to control the objective and how it's moving. Instead of taking a risky play where I dive in and try and get kills, I'm just protecting the space and not allowing them to walk forward. It's a lot easier to do that a lot of times than it is to try and secure a bunch of kills. I've been missing a lot of dashes, but luckily, because of the fact that this Daredevil keeps overextending, it doesn't matter and we keep getting a kill on him. And every time we get a kill and we have the advantage, I'm going to immediately push up and try and take as much space as possible. No matter what role I'm on, whether it be support, DPS, or tank, I'm always trying to do that same thing. When I know that my team has the advantage, I'm going to push up and try and get as much value out of that kill as possible. Because it doesn't matter how many finals you get if you don't know how to take advantage of each and every kill that you get. Unfortunately, I get bursted way faster than I ever expected, and this unfortunately throws the lead for my team. This is why for a lot of the advice that I give you, part of the game isn't just trying to get a lead for your team, it's also understanding and knowing how to not throw the lead for your team. So this was a big mistake on my part. Knowing that Spidey is going to want to pull people into the pit and he's going to be swinging around in that room a lot, I switched into more to try and go for a little bit more anti-dive that will hopefully help shut down him and the Daredevil. Seeing the Cap on the convoy, I immediately turn to try and attack him because of the fact that I know what he's doing. Because it's the same thing that I would do. Right here in this instance, even if I were to push forward and get a kill, it wouldn't matter because of the fact that the Cap is on the convoy. So my first priority is to do damage and try and get the Cap off the convoy to get it moving again. I like to put my squids in places where it defends my backline against divers and makes them a little bit more difficult to hit. So that way if anyone jumps on my backline or tries to touch the convoy, the squids are there to help push them off faster. And as you can see, as I'm constantly looking around and seeing where the enemy is, I'm trying to keep an eye out for where they are and when they're going to want to try and make an attack to touch the convoy to keep it from moving. I'm not pushing up to try and get kills when I know that there's people on the enemy team that are trying to keep the objective from moving. And on convoy maps, when you're going up against divers, they love to sit on the convoy and keep it from moving and keep you distracted. Because like I said, the defensive team wants to try and take a fight to the convoy, and I want to try and get them off the convoy and take it to fight someplace else.
The amazing Spider-Man! Feeling exposed here. I'm under some kind of spell. Still got an edge. You cannot wash your hands of Namor.
Disappear!
So that's the first round. And even though we got taken into overtime both on the first point and on the second point, we still almost pushed it all the way to the third point. At this point in time, the enemy team is really farming my team for how many kills that they can get. But still, nonetheless, we pushed the objective really far, all things considered. So now on defense, I have to come up with a game plan. My team is going Thing and Penning, they're going full anti-dive, so I continue that with Namor. What I want to try and do is I want to try and kill as much time as possible, and going full anti-dive and trying to shut down their dive is probably the best bet right now. And I know I don't need a lot of kills to win, I just need to get the clock into overtime and then win one team fight. Immediately at the start, I like to put a squid over there when I know the enemy team is probably going to have divers. That squid, once it starts to go off, will alert me if someone's touching the point. As Daredevil gets the drop on me and pulls my bubble out, I immediately try to back up and get to safety. One death on the defensive team could domino affect it and allow the enemy team to push over the rest of my team, which would allow them to cap the first point. So even though we have the res station, I don't want to waste it on myself. I want to try and prioritize my survival. Because as long as I keep them from capping the point, I don't actually need to get kills to do that. Kills guarantee time, but I could just apply enough pressure that allows them to not try and push onto the point at all. With the Daredevil being dead and I know that he's dead, I'm just going to apply as much pressure to the enemy team as I can. I'm also going to try and deny any kills from happening in that time by trying to do what I can to deny the Spidey as well. But I know with that Daredevil dead, they realistically can't apply a whole lot of pressure to my team anyway, as they're going to have to wait for him to respawn. Seeing the cap push in and try and destroy the pettiness, I throw a squid in a spot that's able to see the cap, but the enemy team isn't able to see the squid. This allows us to apply a lot of damage to the cap and get a kill on him. Unfortunately, I died with my bubble up, which was really bad on my part. I just should have popped the bubble and done what I could to try and stay alive. I did get bailed out by the res. Still, the res is a valuable resource. You don't want to use it if you don't have to. I tried to whale the targets in the back, seeing that someone was taking a fight with someone, and Moon Knight died before the ult went off. At least I stunned the Groot ult, but realistically, I probably should have waited until after I destroyed the amplifier. Once I knocked the Groot down, though, I go to destroy the amplifier, I go to back up my team and try and get the Groot off the point. Seeing that I didn't have a lot of health, if I showed myself at all, that Spidey was going to immediately jump on me and kill me. I was waiting patiently as I was trying to figure out when the right time I could go in and see if I can't get value by trying to get something sneaky while I still had low health. Unfortunately, my rocket dies, but luckily they get the amplifier off in time that I can feel safe enough to walk back out again. Unfortunately, the enemy Invis is able to get her ult off, and now that I can't do anything, I try to get back up and get myself hidden, but of course, the moment that I try to get back up, Spidey sees me and goes for the kill. That's what I was worried about happening earlier. I switched to magic again with the idea that I want to get back to the point faster, but I also want something a bit brawlier to stay in the fight longer. With some really unfortunate timing and bad luck, the Spidey that went for my rocket and tried to get a kill on him ended up getting me as I was coming back out of the spawn. It's really unfortunate, but sometimes the deaths that you have are just bad luck. It's not so bad though, because we've already taken off 2 minutes on this first point alone. Once I'm respawning, I take a look at my team comp and I realize that my tank switched to Wolverine. I switched to Cap so we have a second tank and to see if I can't get back there fast enough to allow us to portal. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of time, but it's okay because of the fact that now that's in the convoy section, we all know what I'm about to do. Having me on Cap in this moment is great because of the fact that I know this team is bloodthirsty and they're going to chase for kills. It means that I'm going to stall that convoy the best I can. Even though I want to touch the convoy, I don't want to engage in too soon without the enemy team distracted because they're just going to turn on me and burst me down. So once my team pushes up a bit and gets their attention, I'm going to try and jump on the convoy from a separate angle so that way it's easier to touch. If I just head straight at the convoy head on, I'm going to take a lot of damage going in. I get bursted and body blocked, unfortunately, so even though I had my escape abilities, I wasn't able to use them. But luckily, I got the res and I'm still really close to the convoy, so I'm going to go right back in and keep doing the same thing. As the two supports turn to fight me, I walk away pretending like I'm going to leave, and I immediately go back in again. Once I have the Groot and the two supports looking at me to try and push me off of the convoy, that means I'm creating an opportunity elsewhere for the rest of my team. You can also notice that I'm not doing damage, I'm not trying to punch because of the fact that I know that all those punches aren't going to go anywhere because I can't get any kills without follow-up anyway. My goal in that moment is just to keep the convoy from moving and pull the attention of the two supports and the Groot. If I start attacking and doing damage in that moment, I'm just going to help the rocket charge to this next ult. So unless I have follow-up while I have my ultimate, I'm not going to bother doing any damage. I'm just going to sit on the payload and distract them. Because while both teams are playing team deathmatch away from the convoy, I'm just standing on the convoy and I'm going to keep it from moving. Once I pull a lot of attention towards the convoy and they start to turn on me and get me low, I use my ultimate just to make sure that I stay alive. I'm always trying to maximize the amount of value that I get out of my ultimates, and there, if I die and I don't use my ultimate, I'm just wasting time. So a lot of times it's better to use your ultimate than to risk dying with them. Wolverine gets a really great ult, but unfortunately we can't follow up on it as it's too far away. Still, as we push up, we apply pressure, we're pushing them back into their spawn room. We're taking the fight away from the convoy. With the convoy stopped in place, this is a good place for us to fight. Seeing that my team starts to lose people, I immediately go back to trying to defend the convoy as they're going to push up and they're going to try and get it moving again. And I know that if that convoy turns around that corner, it's going to be much more difficult for it to defend from the second point. So I'm going to try and do everything I can with the value of my life and stay alive as long as possible, keeping the convoy from moving. But luckily, Cloak and Dagger uses her ultimate, which will help us buy a lot more time. It's unfortunate that we don't have more teammates alive in order to capitalize on this ultimate, but at the very least, we're buying more time on the clock.
I'm an easy target.
I dive the enemy supports to try and apply pressure and make them distracted, make it so they can't heal, but even then, as the enemy team pushes up and they start to get kills on my team, I'm still always going right back to the convoy. I'm on defense right now, which means that I always want to keep taking this fight directly to that convoy as quickly as I can. I want to spend as much time alive on this convoy as possible. After diving into the convoy and getting the kill on Rocket and immediately turning on the invis, she ults, and I think that maybe me and Blade might be able to kill through that if we get an anti on her, but unfortunately we're not able to, and I end up dying when I don't see the group coming back. This is really bad for me though. I should have disengaged sooner and grabbed some health from health packs and re-engage back in on the convoy, because now I just staggered myself super hard. My team luckily buys a lot of time, and as I re-engage back in, Cap starts to use his ultimate. As much as I want to try and dive onto the enemy supports, I know that if I do, the convoy is going to start moving up again, and with the Cap ult going off, I know I'm probably not going to get any kills at this time, so I'm just going to focus on trying to keep the convoy from moving. I'm always also throwing out my shield throw whenever I can to try and build up the last bit of that ult charge that I need, and once it's not safe, I dive back towards my team to try and back them up. Root ults, but luckily we can counter with our own support ult. Cap is jumping around the payload, but realistically, he's not doing anything right now. The convoy can't move as long as we're there. So I'm just focused trying to get the stagger on him and kill him, and the moment that Spidey comes in and ults us, I use my ult to counter him to keep us alive. We're on defense, so all I want to do is just keep us alive, get us to overtime, and then hopefully we can win one fight there instead. As the enemy team is walking up, I push up to try and attack them, distract them, and keep the fight away from the convoy because the convoy is currently stopped in place. I want to slow the progression towards that convoy, and the moment it gets too dicey and I get too low, I back out so I can get healed by my team. Now that it's in overtime, now I'm diving on the supports. Now I'm going for kills. Because now, if we kill 6 of them, we win. So now here, I can leave the convoy if I feel it's safe enough to let it go to try and secure those kills, because those kills now matter more than if the convoy moves up even a little bit. Once I see that we start to lose the fight, I back out to try and get my team to stabilize, because we can still let the convoy move up a little bit before we go to contest it again. It's in overtime, so I'm going to try and prioritize my team's survival, and if I have to, as the tank, I will jump on the point at the very last second. With less than a couple meters to go, I can hear my Strange using the portal, so now all I gotta do is just buy a little bit of time, and hopefully we can get that portal off, and hopefully I can get some backup. All I was trying to do was just buy time in this moment for my teammates to come back. I get low, so I back to try and get some health packs, so that way I can come back in with a little bit more health. And I see that my team unfortunately isn't doing so well, as all of them are pretty low health, and I see the res beacon, so I try to go for that. Once I go for that, I realize that my team ends up dying, we end up losing the point, but it's okay. All things considered, with how much the enemy team is farming my team, it doesn't really matter, as we're really holding the objective down a lot better than they did. And on this third point, I know that they have a Spidey on the enemy team that has been pulling people off the map the entire time on that first point. So I know he's skilled enough to try and get those grabs on third point. So my goal here as Cap is I want to keep the convoy from ever pushing up to getting to that stairway at all. Because if it gets to that stairway, it might just be GG. So if I can, I don't want it to round that corner. Having low health, I back up to my team because I see that they don't have their ultimates yet. So any health that the enemy takes away ultimately is charging their ultimates up. And any health that I restore either through the spawn or through health packs doesn't go to charging my team's support ults up. There's more than enough time for me to go back though and allow them to heal me to get their ult charge.
I'll be shipshape in no time.
Once I'm back to full, I immediately start to walk back up towards the convoy. I'm not going to use my abilities here to try and get to the convoy faster though, because of the fact that I know Spidey's going to want to try and pull one of us off the map, and I like to try and save my shield bash just for that moment. And luckily, I predicted exactly what was going to happen, so I still had my shield bash, and it actually brought me to the convoy even faster. So now in this moment, I'm just going to try and charge my ult up while I keep the convoy from moving. As they turn to fight me, I fake like I'm leaving and going away, and I loop right back around to go right back to the back of that convoy. Once I see that my team gets a pick, I immediately start playing aggressive to try and see if we can't get some more staggers. You can see that whenever the enemy team is alive, if they're trying to push the convoy, I'm trying to take a fight to the convoy. And once I know the convoy is not moving, then I feel safe to leave the convoy and try and continue to attack and take the fight away from it.
Down to 30 seconds. Get that vehicle moving again.
Here they come. Some sort of magic artifact. That's the boost I needed.
Just embrace the light.
As the last fight starts to take place, I'm standing on the convoy, I'm keeping it from moving because once again, with the Spidey, I don't want this convoy pushing up and around the corner, so I'm trying to take the fight to the convoy, and I try to pull as much attention and resources out of the enemy team as possible. As a tank, this creates an opportunity for my DPS and other players to try and get picks elsewhere. Unfortunately, we cap and rocket all at the same time, but it's not that big of a deal because of the fact that at this point, we've just been staggering the enemy team. And I know at this point, we just have to keep picking off each target as they walk through the door one at a time. And because of the fact that I'm not allowed the convoy to push up to where Spidey would be at an advantage, my team is going to have a much easier time trying to secure more picks when they don't have to be worried about being pulled off the map. This is why I say tanks win games. I didn't need to get a lot of kills in order to win this game, but I created a lot of space and secured a lot of time for my team. And even though the enemy team got more final hits overall, our team was much more efficient about each and every kill that we got. This is the reason why when people talk about final hits or going for kills or going for damage, I know that they don't understand how the game is played or how the game works. Even though the enemy team was absolutely farming my team for kills and getting so many kills back to back, it didn't matter because of the fact that they never bothered to try and defend the objective. And even though the enemy team was getting a lot of kills, it was ultimately them playing over aggressive and dying, which allowed us the opportunity to be able to cap the points when we did. We probably never even would have gotten past that first point if the Daredevil didn't die right outside our spawn door. If that Daredevil just stayed alive and defended the objective, odds are the enemy team wins this game. Just because you're getting kills doesn't always mean you're creating value. This is not a team deathmatch, this is an objective-based video game. And part of climbing in ranked isn't just understanding how to be better than your opponent and how to get more kills, but understanding how to use those kills to your fullest advantage. Lucky Zeal was absolutely a threat in this game. Because I knew that we were never going to win in a head-to-head fight, I decided to do what I could to try and control the objective the best. On offense, that means just getting the singular pick, which is all we need in order to capture each point, and on defense, going tank in order to stall the convoy out as long as possible. Because of how ult economy works, I know that if my team has ultimates, we could eventually win one fight, and I just needed to buy enough time to allow my team to win that one fight. So luckily, while the entire lobby was worried about playing team deathmatch, I was playing my own game. I didn't try to ego duel Lucky on DPS. I didn't try to see how much damage I could do or how many final hits I could get. I was just focused on the strategy. I wasn't trying to pad my stats. I was just focused on trying to control the objective so that way we could win. And in the end, it paid off in my team's favor. There is a strategy to these games, and understanding that strategy and having good game sense will allow you to win games even if you're not mechanically better than your opponent. Anyway, I hope this video helped you learn something, and I hope it helped people realize that final hits and damage are not everything. Anyway, that's all I got for now, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.